Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, we get this question all the time. Is it a good time to buy? And so what we're going to do is we're not going to answer that because that's a personal question. What we're going to answer is if it's a good time to sell or if you should stay and not sell.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to look at 9 scenarios. Some of them are scenarios when you should sell and some of those are scenarios you should not sell.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, bring it on.
All right. So the first chart we're going to do here is we're talking about housing sentiment. Okay. Now this is the housing sentiment chart. It goes all the way back to 2018. And of course it was a good time. Everyone thought it was a good time to buy from 18 to 19. And then you could see it tanked because of the COVID. And then it's been sort of bouncing around, but it's the highest it's been since June of last year.
Okay.
So in the last 15 months, it's the highest it's been. Mm-hmm. Juana, why does buyer sentiment matter for people thinking of selling?
So the most likely person to buy your house is a buyer.
Okay.
Okay. Whether they own another house or not, a buyer is what you need when you're selling. So the sentiment of buyers is important because it gives sellers a gauge of how likely it is that they will be able to sell their house for a price that they find acceptable.
Okay. All right. So if you have high buyer demand, more people will be willing to sell.
Right.
Okay. So these two things go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Marketplaces tend to balance themselves out naturally, mm-hmm. which is why we have not had a housing crash with interest rates more than double what they were a year and a half ago.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so let's go through these scenarios. Okay, here's the first one. Why you should, it's a good time to sell, okay? If rates are low, okay, here's what it says. This is not the case currently, but low interest rates entice more prospective buyers to enter the market, which is advantageous for sellers. An increased number of buyers shopping for homes often lead to bidding wars and drive up home prices, meaning you likely sell your home for a solid profit. We saw this all of 2021.
Yeah, we saw this even before that, right? Where lots of people were buying homes because money was virtually free. And there were also a lot of transactions because sellers were also selling their home and buying another home, right? So there was a lot of churn for the same reason, because sellers could go out and buy a bigger home for a low interest rate, and it gave them the ability to sell their present home.
Okay, here's another one. You should sell your home if supply is short. Mm-hmm. A shortage of housing inventory also drives up demand and prices for available homes. What's more, when housing supply is low, homes on the market tend to sell faster.
Right. So, but
all other things being equal.
Right.
We're not talking about right now.
Right, but this is kind of a double-edged sword, right? So if the supply of homes is low, yes, it's a great time for you to sell, so long as you have somewhere to go. The problem is if you also need to buy, then you're kind of in this catch-22 of, okay, yeah, it's a great time for me to sell, but is there going to be a home for me to buy on the other end?
Okay. Here's the next good time to sell. Mm-hmm. If you're ready to downsize, mm-hmm. downsizing may be a more budget-friendly choice than continuing to maintain a larger cost of your home. For older homeowners, downsizing may even be a necessity. If you can't handle the stairs anymore, or there's more repairs you can manage, maybe a good time to sell, says Rick Halper, broker with some real estate firm in LA.
Right. So look, if you need to downsize, then it doesn't matter what the market's doing, right? This is what you need. This is a very basic need. You need to be in a home where you're safe and you're comfortable. So if that's your situation, go for it. Don't worry about the market.
If you need to relocate, mm-hmm. also it's a good time. If you're relocating to a new state for a job or want to enjoy your retirement in a new area, and you need the profits from the sale to put toward your next place, selling may be unavoidable. It says the time to sell is when you need to sell.
Right. Again, this is a life event. Life events take precedence over external events. So do what you need to do to make your life happy and comfortable.
Now we're going to go over when it's a good time to wait. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is what probably a lot of people are going to say they're in this situation right now.
Right.
Probably. Okay. Here's the first one. If interest rates are rising,
right,
which they are right now.
Right, so high interest rates, rising interest rates, that's a good time to wait because If you need a mortgage on the other end, you're going to be paying substantially more for possibly less house than what you're paying for now. So obviously waiting, if that's something that is even a choice for you, might be a good idea.
It says rising mortgage rates as the current market is experiencing often mean a smaller pool of buyers who can afford the price you want. If you can't maximize your price, you might decide to wait. But
Right.
obviously, if you're in a market where it's high-end cash buyers and it's low inventory, it doesn't really matter what rates are doing. We've
Right.
seen markets like that, parts of
Right.
San Diego, right?
And
Okay.
other places.
Couple places, other places. Okay, you just recently refinanced. It says if you refinanced your mortgage, it may not make financial sense to sell just yet. You may actually lose money by doing so. I don't agree with this one because it's a sunk cost. Like if you have just refied, but then your job says, hey, you need to move, and you're like, oh, I got to move, but I need to sell the house. It doesn't make sense now really to keep the house just because you refied, right?
Right. So, look, all things being equal, if the only reason you're not going to sell the house is because you just refinanced, well, you probably refinanced for a good reason, and the good reason was that you were going to stay in the house for a long time. So I kind of find that a little bit disingenuous from the article discussing that. But I mean, life events happen. So, you, like Todd said, if you just got a job transfer, then you got to go, and that's it. Don't worry about the refi, get on with life.
Okay, if you're upsizing, the cost to purchase a newer, bigger home may be unaffordable, particularly in a hot market. Don't get in over your head. Take the time to be sure finances can accommodate the type of home you want.
Right. So this is some mom and dad advice here. Make sure that you can make that mortgage payment comfortably, and that you're not stuck eating nothing but ramen noodles. Not that there's anything wrong with ramen noodles, but they do get old after a while, however yummy they are at the start. So just make sure that you have sufficient savings to weather repairs, to make, to have, in case of an emergency, whatever happens in your life beyond your down payment, and of course being able to still afford those higher payments.
Next one, if your home is in poor condition, got a long list of repairs wanting to be completed around your home. You may want to postpone selling until some of the work can be done. It's important to have your home in the best light. Yada, yada, yada. This one I also don't agree with. I think people have been brainwashed that they watch too much HGTV, where the first thing the agent shows them is, okay, we have to do $25,000 of repairs to get the most money for your house. For the most part, you don't need to do this, right?
So it really depends, right? It's on a case-by-case basis. But by and large, you're right. By and large, you're not going to recuperate that money. So there's really not much point in spending it. So if you spend $50,000 to redo the kitchen and the bathrooms, unless you're at a price point where it makes sense, I wouldn't necessarily do it. My thought is, if you spend $50,000, you're not going to get $150 out of it. So, for the inconvenience and the time and the lost opportunity, I don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense. Most of the time, you're lucky if you can get 70 cents on the dollar.
Yeah, for repairs.
Yeah.
I mean, all the houses we flipped, we've always, of course, made money, but I think we always were very frugal with repairs. We were always on the low side. I'll put this in perspective. The most we ever spent on a flip sale was $8,100. And that was really because it was a nicer house and it did need paint, carpet, and it was a big house. So, but let's redo all the kitchens and the bathroom. No, we're not doing that.
No. That's a really expensive thing to do. So, I mean, again, you have to look at it. What does it pencil? If you spend 50 grand, are you going to get 150 more? Okay, then it makes sense. But if you spend 50 and maybe you'll get 50, 70,000 more, that's too tight. It doesn't make sense.
Especially if you're having to, it takes a long time because you can't now take that money and go to the next flip.
Right.
It's costing you. Okay. Here is the last one. If you have no game plan, if you're simply trying to time the market to make a profit and have no plan after your home is sold, it may be best to wait. It doesn't make sense to sell if you don't know what your next play is, right? That's a lot of people right now. They're probably like, I don't even know what to do. Or they have a rental. And let's put it from this vein of rental. you have a rental and you're like, I could get $450 for my rental that I paid $200,000 for, 6-7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that would be nice to take that money, but then like, what are you going to do with it?
Right. So begin with the end in mind, right? Figure out what you're going to do and then take action to get you to where you want to be. The thing to keep in mind is there's this whole psychology that people have that they don't want to take a loss. So people will hang on to investments, including real estate, longer than they should, hoping that they're going to somehow make up the money. I kind of liken it to people who gamble, right, at the casino, maybe because I live in Nevada, but who end up throwing good money after bad, hoping that they're going to win it back. Don't do that, okay? Look, an investment is an investment. Figure out what the highest and best use of your money is and go forward from there. And if that means that you sell a piece of real estate for maybe less than what you wanted to sell it for, but you can put that money to better use, either on a different piece of real estate or some other investment, that might be a consideration. It's less about being emotional and more about putting pencil to paper and seeing what actually makes financial sense.
And if you're thinking of selling, our contact information is in the description, and it doesn't matter where in the country. The startup that we are co-founders of, we can get you an agent anywhere in the country. A really good one too.
Absolutely. And if you're here in Vegas, you might even get us. Haha.
No, you'll get us.
Yeah, okay, you will get us.
You're going to get us in Vegas.
Yeah, now you're stuck with us.
You're stuck with us. You can't get rid of us. You have to. Actually, you have to use us.
There you go.
You're not allowed to not use us.
There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. So if this was interesting, if you learned something, if we just confirmed some bias that you had, please remember to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, leave us some notes, and tell us what you think about all this. When's a good time to sell? When's a good time to buy? What motivates people? What dissuades people? Please feel free to leave us comments. We enjoy your comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.